Hello, and welcome to the Castle Talk podcast, where we talk to writers and creators of today's genre worlds. From Denver, Colorado, I'm your host, Jason Henderson, author of the upcoming series Young Captain Nemo from Fievel and Friends Macmillan Books. Tonight, Union Furnace is a new horror film out on Blu-ray this month, a terrifying tale that evokes the grinding economic realities of the Rustbelt. The story involves a young crook who's given a chance at wealth that involves gambling with his life amidst a horde of masked sadists. Our guests today are Union Furnace's director and writer Nicholas Bushman and co-writer producer star Mike Dwyer. Nicholas was the director of the dark comedy Sandbar, and which also co-starred Mike. Welcome.
How's it going, Jason? Thanks for having us.
I just read a lot of stuff about the movie. You guys have positioned this movie as Rustbelt horror. What is this film about? What are you up to here?
Well, basically the film is about this series of underground games of life and death that take place in this small southern Ohio town called Union Furnace, which actually is a real town in Ohio, but not the town we kind of used in the movie. We like the name of it, so
Union Furnace.
So we took the real name of the town in Ohio and kind of built our own little world around it from a bunch of different locations. And yeah, Mike plays a car thief who gets involved in these games, these underground games. He meets a mysterious man who invites him to join the underground.
So they're literally underground. Like I'm going to go down into a space where, I mean, are these like physical games, like wrestling, or how does this work?
Well, that's kind of part of the fun of the movie is that some of them are, the games are different each time, which was one of the really kind of exciting things about the concept, in that there's seven games one night. They're all being held in this like grimy double wide trailer in the middle of nowhere in Ohio.
Yeah.
So metaphorically underground.
Right.
And basically each game, the stakes get increasingly higher with each game, but as far as what each game is, it varies from each one. So you'll have one game that's like musical chairs or something,
Oh my gosh,
very fun, and then you'll have another game that's very horrific, and they don't know what's coming next.
wow. So somehow with all the characters, I've seen snippets of it. So the characters are wearing masks. This reminded me a lot of things, very indie looking cold horror, like the Wicker Man and stuff like that.
Sure, the original Wicker Man.
Yeah, the original Wicker Man, where they're all dancing and wearing the lion masks and stuff like that. Specifically, because you play up this lion mask in the trailer. In fact.
Oh yeah, the lion is the leader of the master of ceremonies, if you will, of all the games. And yeah, Wicker Man was a big thing. Yeah, for sure.
No, I was going to ask you about your other about what since you were co-writing this together, and then you've got to put together, when you're explaining the movie to other people, however this works, and you're about to shoot it, you have to kind of put together a vocabulary of what the movie's like. So how did you describe like what your influences were?
They were pretty wide ranging. I know when we had the idea, the funny thing is when we first had the idea for the movie, because it's taken a while for it to actually come out now on DVD and Blu-ray. When we first had the idea and shot it, we were thinking it was so, like the whole mask thing was really underused and could be really cool to have in a movie. Like we were like, we haven't seen that since Eyes Wide Shut. This could be great.
Right.
How come no one used masks? And then like within the last couple of years, there's been this like endless deluge of, mask movie number 7, and they just keep coming and coming.
And the idea for the lion mask, going back to Eyes Wide Shut with it, we've always wanted a Venetian looking, very very grand looking mask for a lead bad guy to have that would be very regal but scary at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's so funny if you imagine that you're a 2-bit car thief and you've been dragged into this situation where you're going to play these games for wealth or maybe being murdered. That's such a crazy situation, and I wonder how that does seem to be an excellent metaphor for life in a precarious economy, where people are always just like on the verge of ruin, or and always, there's always this possibility out there sometimes of striking it rich doing one thing or another.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, Certainly, I think, in these types of movies, characters can often be taken to, forced to play these games, where they're, either tied up in a solid situation. But in Union Furnace, everyone that plays these games agrees to play the games. Whether they know what's going to happen or not, that's up to them, but they make the choice to come and play these games. And, they're smart enough to know, at least half of them, I think, that this isn't going to end well. But they're so desperate.
If they don't win.
If they don't win, but the desperation clouds their judgment to do it. So they take this big chance.
Yeah. And the cool thing too is that a lot of people seem to be, now that it's finally coming out, a lot of people seem to be making the connection to the larger implications of what, could be, like you just said, of what is kind of like a standard like horror movie plot. But there's a lot more going on under the surface, hopefully. Or so, yeah.
Well, it seems like something that any person could identify with instantly and go like, look, I have, like maybe I'm not right now. Maybe things are fine right now, but we've all been in those situations where like, all I need is one break. All I need is one break, and maybe you aren't alone. Maybe you have a sick child. Maybe you have whatever, or they're going to take away your house or whatever. And those are moments when you're willing to risk more than maybe would be wise, and to use horror to capture that, I think is really brilliant.
Oh, well, thank you. That's what all the great horror movies generally did that and do that, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, Rosemary's Baby is a great example, of a character, basically, selling out his wife and his family just because he wants to be an actor.
He wants to be an actor. Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's a really good point. He wants a nice apartment, basically. He wants a nice apartment, and he wants to get more acting, more soap opera work.
Exactly.
and all it takes is one demon pregnancy. Yeah. Boy, that's a great example.
But yeah, that's a good one. And then we watched what else when we were writing, we watched The Deer Hunter a bunch, just the way that movie captures that whole town at the beginning, all the stuff at the beginning, and then the contrast between, all the steel mill stuff at the beginning of The Deer Hunter and then into, well, literally like Russian roulette, the cut to Vietnam and something like that.
A total loss of innocence, and
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And then also They Shoot Horses, Don't They? Which is one of the greatest movies ever.
Right, absolutely. That's the one with the 24, well, not 24 hours, it's the endless dance marathon.
Correct. Yes, exactly.
And that's because it was the Depression and everybody's broke. Yeah.
And that was a huge thing for us in terms of, how do you do They Shoot Horses, Don't They as a horror movie? I mean, it kind of already is a horror movie, but
no, of course. But that's I'm so glad that you said that, because it's so delightful to hear any modern creator make reference to They Shoot Horses, Don't They? that's fabulous. But I mean, you think of like The Deer Hunter. But what's wonderful about The Deer Hunter and stuff like that, anything that deals with something like Allentown or anywhere in the Rust Belt, is just how freaking cold it can look in the spring, or in November, or just how god awful uncomfortable it can be.
Yeah. It was god awful uncomfortable to shoot. Let me tell you. My goodness. Yeah, we shot in January, a couple Januaries ago now. And it gets real freaking cold in Ohio in January. And it was like we would have night shoots, and it would be one night it was 17 below zero while we were shooting. I mean, equipment was freezing, and people were freezing. I was worried I had frostbite. It was insane making the movie. Yeah.
How did you choose so explain this to me, because I imagine on a shoot like this, an independent film, everybody kind of wears a lot of hats. So you've got your script in mind, you've got your script. How do you how do you figure out, I know where to shoot this. I know where there's a double wide trailer in a big yard. I mean, like how does that actually happen?
Well, what happened was, with this, it was always kind of designed as something that we could do right away. So, because we were finishing up our first movie, Sandbar, and we were desperate to make a new movie. So we thought the idea was really exciting, but we were also intentionally looking for an idea that would be very doable immediately. And we were in Ohio at the time, and so a lot of you see those locations when you're here, and it's like, there's so many great locations like that around the city and the state. It's just like, Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
sure. And, and because the idea where the games were always going to take place in some double wide trailers, and we looked into getting them, but we wanted to dress them very specifically, and we looked into like ripping out kitchens and bedrooms. So what we eventually did was we found an old warehouse, and most of the action in the film takes place in these two trailers. We actually built these two sets side by side in a warehouse, an unheated warehouse, by the way. So we could, if we want to do a pickup for the one room, we could just run to the other, and we had, 24/7 access. We could rip down a wall or pull the wall out, or, completely, do these sets. And, we actually built the sets ourselves. We didn't hire anybody to do it. We dressed them, Nick and I and the rest of the crew. We dressed the sets, built them ourselves in the weeks going up to the set, because it was just the most cost-effective way to do it.
Yeah, it was wild.
So you're creating the inside of a trailer. You're putting up some beams and you're putting up wooden siding to make it look like this real space. That's pretty cool. That's very cool.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Is that your recommendation for somebody else if you have a student walk in, in the Starbucks that you're hanging out in, and he says, "Gosh, I'd like to make a movie." Is that your recommendation? Is write something you can do next week?
Absolutely.
100%.
Absolutely. Yeah. And with each passing day, it seems like that's more and more of a real option. I mean, do it on your iPhone for real now. It's not even a joke.
It's the nice place we're in right now, with independent cinema, is that you don't have to ask permission. I mean, you can go rent a red camera for, a couple grand for a month, and you can go out and, shoot something or build sets, Yeah. I think you really get in trouble when you wait around to make your movie and until all the conditions are perfectly correct. Sometimes you just have to say, now's the time to do it, and in 3 months I'm going to go make this movie, and I think you'll be happy for it in the end.
Or in a month and a half in our case with this movie.
That's fabulous. I mean, what other lessons did you learn? I mean, this is the second one that you guys have made. What other lessons are popping up as far as, because I know that people are listening and going, I'd like to try something like that. What kind of surprises you that you found out?
That's a great question. I mean, every movie is a constant education, and 10 years of what would be film school in 3 weeks or something. Right. when we shot our first movie, Sandbar, it took us 3 years actually. Which is another reason why we wanted to do this one. Like, all right, we wrote it, we're going to shoot in 2 months because we're not waiting 3 years to make another movie or something like that. So it took 3 years to get the money to make our first movie. And in that time, it really felt like we were ready and knew everything you could possibly know. And it's like, here we go. I know exactly what I'm doing. And you get there and you don't know anything at all. But by the end, you kind of figure out how to do it. And then it's kind of been like that on each one.
And you feed people well. I mean, I really, we actually had
catering is important.
We had a catering company, so it wasn't just sandwiches for everybody on the shoot, because the material's very dark. So we had people that were feeding people, so you could go out and it sounds silly, but it really goes a long way with making everybody happy and
Well, yeah, if we hadn't had good catering, I think everyone would have quit because it was so cool.
So you found Hollywood-style craft services caterers in in rural Ohio? That's fabulous.
It's true. Yeah, they do commercials in Columbus. It was
we hired 2 caterers. They were on set every day. I mean, they were there every single day, till we wrapped. I mean, we did breakfast, lunch, and dinner sometimes. I mean, everything would be available just because, we knew it was something that we didn't have a lot to give, but we knew we could give that to people, and it really seemed to work.
Yes. Yeah, but by and large, catering is good, but, you can always just feed them, peanut butter and jelly sandwiches too. It's just, the most important thing is just to make the movie.
Yeah.
It sounds very challenging, but I love what you said about how it gets easier and easier for I've never wanted to make a film. That's never been a desire of mine. But I know that there are people who wake up, as they're a senior in high school, and they're like, as soon as I'm done, as soon as I'm graduated, I'm going to go start making something. And so I think that's. You've given some really useful advice.
The big thing for us on the first movie, Sandbar, was locking down kind of a name actor. We got Rick Rossovich to star in it. Amazing individual who's in Top Gun and Terminator. He's big 80s. He's Slider in Top Gun. That movie, we went through almost 3 years of trying to get it made, and then when I finally got him, and the way I got him was not through traditional channels by any means. I got his address and sent the script to his house in California. And he was actually, this is a funny story, he was actually living in Stockholm, Sweden, because his wife is from Sweden.
Really?
So he only happened to be back in California selling his big California pass. And his real estate agent, not his movie agent, but his real estate agent gave him the script. And he read it on the plane to Stockholm and then emailed me and was like, love it. Love to talk about it more. So I flew to Stockholm and said, you got to be in this movie. And as soon as we had him, it was really easy to get the little bit of amount of money that we needed to make that one. So shoot high for who you want to get in the movie, because if it's good, if the script's good, good actors will respond to it. They really will.
Like if it gives them a chance to do something they don't normally get to do, or to read some lines they don't normally get to read, or whatever.
That was exactly the case with Rick. He was like, I've never got to do anything like this. So he was in. And that was another cold Ohio shoot too.
What I was going to ask you was, are you excited by, now you're starting to get some hype around the movie. People are promoting it and talking about it. So how is all that working out? The sudden, the ability to get a response from the public.
Well, I only read the good reviews, so.
I mean, it's the nature, it's the nature of the game, in these times. I mean, I'm happy if you even saw the movie. So I think it's better to have a strong response, whether it be negative or positive, as long as I think the worst place is to be in the middle. Like, I hope you love the movie, but if you hate the movie, well, that's fine. I'm glad you watched it.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. It's a polarizing film. I mean, the good news is it does seem like people are, in general, responding pretty positively to it, which is nice. But
I mean, honestly, the trailer is so scary. It is a really unnerving trailer, truly.
Okay.
And so that's gonna work. That's gonna work really well, I think.
Yeah, I'm glad people are just seeing it in general, and we like it, so we're happy.
So you guys worked together on this. Did you write the thing from scratch together?
Well, I mean, we wrote it. It was, the whole thing was kind of about speed. So we wrote it entirely together, with the exception of basically the first 10 minutes of I would say 5 minutes of the movie. Because I'd had, for years and years, that just Mike's character, the Cody Roy McLeod car thief character. And I had this opening scenes. He steals a car from a church and goes to see this crazy mechanic named Parts Punk, who's played by the great David Hayward. And so I had that, but I had no actual story for him to follow. It was just this kind of, aimless character. And when we first started talking about just doing something right away, somehow Cody Roy came up, and it was like, oh yeah, let's do that, and let's do the Underground Games thing, and it just fit together perfectly. So yeah. And then from there we just went nuts and wrote it in 2 weeks. I mean, it was
Wrote it in 2 weeks.
Yeah, it was yeah, which is not usual. It usually takes a lot 2 years usually to write a screenplay, but we really cranked out.
I've written comic book scripts with partners, and I've had it where it's like, hey, you take act 1, I'll take act 2. I've had it where, hey, let's sit side by side and just start typing and throwing lines at one another. How did you do this?
We did it completely together. It was what it was is we take turns typing, and then we would basically just act out the scene.
Wow.
And the nice thing was that Mike is also the star, so he could really act out the scene. So yeah, it was us playing all the different characters and
playing off each other, in a small room. Almost written entirely, we're in the same room together. And like you said, sometimes you take 10 minutes, and I need 10 minutes, and you would write this thing down. Nick would give me something, or I'd give him something, and I'm like, oh, that's great. Or often I would write something, and Nick would be like, that's not that great.
That's not true.
But it just happened pretty quickly.
Yeah, but just locking yourselves in a room together with a lot of espresso.
Yeah. That's really, really
cool. And it worked, yeah.
What's next? I mean, Union Furnace is coming out this month on Blu-ray. So do you know the next project? Or can you talk about it?
Oh, yeah, we've got a couple. Well, we actually already finished our next movie, which is called Stranger in the Dunes,
Okay.
which is, we're so excited about it. It's going to be great. It's Mike's in it again, and a French actress named Delphine Cheniac.
She's in Splice.
A lot of people know her from Splice,
Okay.
the Vincenzo Natali film, and Andrew Hovelson, who's a great, great, great New York Broadway actor. And that's like 3 characters at a beach house just going crazy. And yeah, it was really fun to shoot. We shot it in North Carolina on a beach because my deal with the crew was that we would shoot somewhere nice after Union Furnace. So
Oh, sure.
we
Yeah.
shot at a beach house.
Yeah, that'll be doing the festival thing this fall. So
Oh,
yeah,
very cool.
and we're really excited about that. And then we're going to start shooting a new one in October. So it's crazy right now.
You said a beach house. You know, it strikes me that's you're going along the same lines. You're going, what can I do? What can I do this weekend? And I can by gum
Yeah,
write
kind of.
something that takes place in a beach house. You know, just like Reservoir Dogs takes place essentially entirely inside a warehouse with some chairs.
Right.
And yeah.
Yeah, that was, I mean, the Stranger in the Dunes movie, it definitely came from the same place of, what can we do right away? It got way bigger. I mean, a lot of it is in a beach house, but it just became a lot of crazy stuff goes down in that movie, and it became a much bigger production and a longer shoot.
I'm looking forward to seeing that. That sounds really cool. A thriller. I mean, thriller on the beach. That sounds great.
It's
Okay.
really turned out good.
Well, gosh. Okay, so the movie is called Union Furnace. It is out on Blu-ray this month. My guests have been Nicholas Bushman and Mike Dwyer. They are the Nick Bushman is the co-writer and director and writer. Mike Dwyer is the co-writer, producer, and star of the film. And a lot of hyphens. A lot of very busily hyphenated people on this shoot.
Oh, more than you know. We had to use pseudonyms for some stuff because we didn't want our names on there too many times.
Mike Newmar with his Godzilla person. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for taking time to talk to me. I really appreciated it, and I think we got some good stuff. I can't wait to share this with people.
cool, Jason. Thanks for having us.
Thanks so much, man.
Absolutely. I'll send you a link. Have a fantastic evening, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Okay,
All right,
you
brother.
too, man. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Nick and Mike.
Thank you.
Thank you.